You're listening to the Holistic Spaces podcast brought to you by Mindful Design Feng Shui School. Episode 194, Get to Know Us, interview with Anjie Cho. Welcome to episode 194 of the Holistic Spaces podcast, where we hope to inspire, educate, and empower you to create your own holistic spaces that nurture and resonate with you. Anjie Cho and Laura Morris are the founders of the Mindful Design Feng Shui School. We teach Feng Shui online at mindfuldesignschool.com. We have an online certification program for people who want to dive deep into Feng Shui and join a mentorship program to become a practitioner and a consultant. And we also have special mini courses. We have a lot coming up now towards the end of the year. So please check us out at mindfuldesignschool.com. That's a really wonderful way to support us. And be sure you're on our mailing list because we have really unique and special things only for our newsletter subscribers. You get a little love note from us each week. And you can sign up by looking in the show notes on whatever device or app you're looking at or you're listening to for our podcast, or you can visit mindfuldesignschool.com, scroll down to the bottom, and there's a place to sign up for our mailing list.
Okay. Well, today we are doing last podcast. Angie interviewed me, and today I am going to interview Angie. And I'm going to let everyone who hasn't already kind of got to know us and maybe wants to know a little bit more about each of us, we decided to do these pretty chill, casual interview style podcasts. So, Angie, how are you? Thank you for joining us today.
That sounded so natural.
Didn't it? Thank you for joining us today. Okay, so let me start by asking you, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and your business?
Sure. Thank you for asking. Thank you for asking, Laura. So my name is Anjie Cho, and I am one of the co-founders of the Mindful Design Feng Shui School and one of the co-hosts of this podcast that you may be new to, or you may have been following us for a while. And I would call myself a Feng Shui educator, and I am also a practicing and licensed architect in New York City. And yeah, that's how I describe myself in my business.
Okay, what about where do you live in New York, right?
Oh, right. I live in New York City, and Laura and I teach internationally, and we can offer our services feng shui wise internationally. But my feng shui business is based basically in Manhattan. I don't go outside of Manhattan, and I have a very boutique practice where I only work with one or two people at a time, just like 2 or 3 people a year.
Mm-hmm. And do you, by any chance, have any pets?
Oh, it's so I'm not used to people caring about me. So I have a pet. I have two. I live I live in New York City with my partner and husband Jeremiah. He's a avant-garde musician. And then I also have 2 Chihuahuas. You can follow them at Javier and Pearl on Instagram. And Javier is a long-haired Chihuahua. He's very handsome. He is
In
a
case you didn't know,
model.
he's very handsome, says
He's
his
very
mom.
handsome. And then I have an adorable short-haired Chihuahua, Pearl, who is very cute and has the most bubbly personality.
So cute. We were joking that people are not either or, but often there's like Team Javier or Team Pearl. I'm Team Pearl. I mean, I like Javi too, but I just love
Uh-oh.
Pearly. I love Pearly.
Well, Javi doesn't care, but
I
Pearl
know
does.
Javi is like super chill. Like he does, but Pearl, like she's like, I love you when she sees you. That's why that's why I love her. She pays attention. She gives the people what they want. So, what brought you to the practice of feng shui?
So I studied architecture in school. I went into that field, And around my Saturn return, I realized that I would like to incorporate more spirituality and more. I just needed to like work on myself. So,
Mhm.
so I decided to start studying yoga and meditation. And then very quickly, I realized that I wanted to find a way to integrate spirituality and inspiration and more depth into the work that I did, since we spend so many of our waking hours working. And so that naturally led me to explore feng shui. And when I started to open my eyes to feng shui, like I really didn't want to, but I did because there was like, it was just a natural dovetail into architecture work. I was really delighted and surprised and floored by how amazing the practice was, and I just went for it. I kept learning more.
Okay. So you kept learning more. And then while you were learning about feng shui, what was it that surprised you the most? Was there something that you didn't expect once you beginning to dive deeper into feng shui?
There were a lot of things I didn't expect, but the I think one of the most primary unexpected, I guess, results that I received from feng shui was that I never thought I would be an entrepreneur. I had no aspirations to do anything but, I just thought I would be going to the office, working for someone my entire life until I retired and then didn't have to work anymore. And so, but what instead opened up to me is a whole new lifestyle and way of thinking. And another thing that I didn't expect about feng shui is I didn't expect that I it would be really the door to open me to understanding my culture, my cultural heritage, um, in so many ways that it's, of course, that door and that path is endless and it's so enriching. So it's really helped me to really embrace and value and have a lot of curiosity and learn more about my cultural heritage.
Mhm. Okay. Having said that, then what, I mean, you kind of talked about it, but would you say that's one of the biggest transitions now, like since you started this? Because as we mentioned before, we're moving on, we're going on to 5 years. What would you say from the beginning of when we started till now? What was one of the big transitions for you?
One of the biggest things I've noticed since you and I started this school together is just how much I love teaching. I I um I realized it was kind of a natural transition, and you and I both were leaning towards that and walking towards that same path, and we just merged on that path,
Hmm.
literally. Because we have our
Hmm.
story about we were teaching. We were asked to teach a class together at a retreat with our teacher Rosalie, and we were walking a labyrinth together when we
Hmm.
started discussing like what could it look like if we taught together or if we worked together and continued these teachings that we received from our teachers, because their program was at that time already beginning to dissolve. So I think one of the biggest transitions or surprises or unexpected things that has happened to me in the last 5 years, um, and not since I've first started feng shui, which was much longer ago, but in the last 5 years, is that uh, I've discovered how much I really love teaching
Hmm.
and how that really nourishes me. Like after we teach, I don't feel depleted. I feel super energized,
Hmm.
actually.
And okay, so let's say last 5 years. Let's go back in time. What would you tell your 20-year-old self now of all the things you've learned? What would you say to them if you could go back in time and tell them something?
Um, well, I'm gonna steal what you said. I would
Mhm.
also tell my 20-year-old self not to let my gay friend who like pinned me down and said, "I need to pluck your eyebrows." I would have said, "No way. I need to
Stop it.
work on my wood
Keep
energy."
Stop it. I like my eyebrows. And is there an item of clothing that you would not have given away? Like, think back. Is there something you
No, I
wished?
wouldn't fit into any of that clothing.
Okay, let's pretend you did. Like, did you have like a leather jacket or a pair of cool boots? Yeah, right. You did.
I
Angie was super
forgot.
cool. Angie was super cool when she was 20 years old. She was like
I don't think I
hip.
would wear anything that I had back then.
I don't know. You look pretty cool in it. It's all back. It's all back, my friend. It's all coming back in style. Okay, so what would you tell besides the eyebrows
Mhm.
and your 90s outfit? What would you tell your 20-year-old self?
Um, I would tell my 20-year-old self, and actually every decade of myself, like every time I look back at a photograph of like me, like 10 years ago or 20 years ago or 30 years ago, I mean, like we're all so beautiful when we're young, and I can see like how so judgmental I was of myself,
I
so
know.
self-critical. And then I look back even like a couple years ago and I'm like, wow, you looked good. But then I look at myself now and like always judge myself and
We
I'm
never
so
learn,
critical.
man. We never learn. You'd think we'd learn, right?
I know. And I'm like, damn, I was
Yeah.
really beautiful. And now we
We're
were
so
all
hard
so
on ourselves.
beautiful. We're so hard on ourselves. So I would just tell anyone at any age you are to tell yourself you're beautiful and because it's true.
Good one. I like it. Okay. Let's do something. Let's keep the fun going here. What do you do for fun?
Well, I have many hobbies, as Laura knows. Laura's just like, I don't know how you do all this stuff.
Yeah.
So this is totally true, but meditation is now fun for me after after so many years. So, like the last two times I went to this long 2 hour meditation in person, like in the last couple months. The first ones really since COVID, or any meditation retreat since COVID. I just like it's so much fun for me. I love it. It's like taking a shower after you've been out all day in the humidity. It's so
Hmm.
refreshing. And then I also study Japanese tea ceremony, which I love, even though it's kind of like hell at the same time because you're kneeling in seiza for like 2 hours, and I guess all of the things I love have like a kind of difficult aspect to it. And then I love what else do you do for fun?
Flowers.
I practice Japanese flower arranging, ikebana. I go on retreats. Those are fun for me. And I also study ceramics, or
Hmm.
I do pottery. That's fun. And I'm also love doing like any like art thing. That's
Hmm.
super fun for me.
You do a lot of things. Okay. Who is your favorite hero from fiction or character from fiction?
So when I was thinking about this when I asked you
Hmm.
this question, and my first answer is kind of like a just kidding, but you're to make you laugh is the Queen of Hearts because that's like so me.
You're not like that.
Well, I think I've seen myself like that, but I also really respect like that very fiery, very no nonsense kind of
Hmm.
fierceness that I would like to embody a lot of times. And then I had another fictional character. Oh, my other favorite fictional character is Totoro from My Neighbor Totoro, which is
Mm,
you know that your
yeah.
son likes
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Japanese stuff,
Yep. Yep.
the Japanese animation. So
Cool.
I really love Studio Ghibli. So
Yeah.
I really love Totoro.
Cool. what would your motto be? What would you tell someone was your motto, or something you tell yourself?
Hmm. I almost took this off of my own interview list, and then I thought of something and I already forgot it. What do you think my motto is?
Off with their heads. Just kidding.
Um,
No, what do I think your motto is? Oh my gosh. Your motto is let's just get it done right now. Like whatever there is, why wait? Just like let's just get it off our plate. I feel like.
yeah, but that's not a great motto.
I don't know. You've got to have you. Okay, let's circle back.
Yes, we'll go back, yeah.
Okay, then instead I'm going to ask you, what would you like your superpower to be?
Oh, shit.
You thought about this one too, and did you forget to? I'm sure you thought about
No,
it.
I didn't think about this
Oh, you
one.
didn't? Okay.
My what would I like for a superpower? Oh, I'd like to be able to fly.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, like I love biking, which I
Mm-hmm.
haven't done in quite some time, but I would love biking. I love biking because it feels like you're flying.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Um, I'm going to ask you what you're up to right now. So, what are you doing right now that's cool and interesting?
Well, we are recording this a little bit early because I am going on a holiday. So when this airs, I will still be on a meditation retreat. So that's something that's really exciting for me. But the biggest thing I'm up to is I just finished writing my second book, Mindful Homes, which will be out in April. So that's really super exciting for me. And then I'm already on to a new book with my mentor Marcia. We're planning on writing a book together,
Mm-hmm.
which will be amazing. And you know me, I'm always up to something.
Mm-hmm. Did you think of a motto yet?
Probably keep it simple.
There you
Actually,
go.
keep it simple.
That's a good one.
Hmm.
And then we're gonna finish and close with actually no, I do want to ask, can I ask you what your most treasured possession is? And it's not your dog. It can't be anything living, so it can't be your puppy dogs or anything like that.
Um, I'm not a huge possession person, but let me think. What would be what is currently a most treasured
Mm-hmm.
possession? Oh, I guess it might be similar to what you offered, which what you talked about your grandmother's earrings.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Mine would be actually my mom gave me her Rolex.
Oh,
Yeah, so it
cool.
was my parents gifted each other a Rolex when they got married, and she gifted it to me. So now I have her Rolex.
Cool.
And it's the only, actually, I haven't inherited any or received any jewelry from her except for that
Mm-hmm.
piece.
That's nice.
Hmm.
Okay, well, why don't we close like we did when I did this, and why don't you share for our listeners what is your favorite simple feng shui adjustment or tip?
So, my favorite simple feng shui adjustment or tip would be to go out without anything in mind, go find a flower. You can pick one up from the wild, you could pick one up from your garden, you can pick one up from the New York City type of garden, which means the store, the flower store, and just pick one flower that speaks to you, see what's available, um, and see what you're drawn to, and then bring it home and then look up a little bit about that flower. Just have some
Mhm.
curiosity, like where does that flower come from? Like how does it grow? What season is it in? And then you can just put that one flower in a vase and have that be your gift for the day. And this is not like like you said, Laura, in your interview, it's not like a formal feng shui like adjustment, but this is, a personal version of a feng shui adjustment for me.
Good. It's nice. And you know what? It also goes nicely with your motto, which is to keep it simple. Good job.
Yes. Yes.
Well, thank you, Angie. Thank you for joining us today in this exploration and meeting. So glad you could meet with us.
You're welcome, Laura. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Interview concluded. All right. Thanks, Angie.
Thank you. And thank you all so much for listening to this episode of the Holistic Spaces podcast. You can tune in every Monday for a new podcast episode. If you like our podcast, please share it with others, subscribe, you can leave a review. You can support us by checking out our webpage. We have mini courses. We teach a 6-month Feng Shui mentorship practitioners program to train people how to become Feng Shui consultants. And all of that info is up on our website at mindfuldesignschool.com. And we would love to see you in your inbox every week. Join our mailing list. We don't just send you blah, blah, blah emails. We actually send some blah, 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 but we also send you things that we only offer to our newsletter subscribers. So you can go to the show notes on whatever thing you're listening to the podcast on, or you can visit our website at mindfuldesignschool.com. Scroll down to the bottom, and then there you can see a box where you can add your email to join our mailing list. So thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next week. Opportunities that are only for our newsletter subscribers. So you can go to mindfuldesignschool.com, scroll down to the bottom, and sign up for our mailing list there, or you can look in the show notes. So for the next 2 episodes, we thought we would do something a little bit different in case we have any new people that don't know much about Laura or me. We wanted to interview each other. And so we're going to start with Laura. So I'm going to interview Ms. Laura Morris today.
Excellent. That's good. Yes. And I was just thinking when you said today, interview with Laura. We need to do better. I feel like that title is not great, but it's okay. We're going to be okay. I was thinking get to know us, but whatever. It doesn't matter now. We'll just stick with what we have. No, it's okay. It's good.
Okay. Well, you can do it differently for me. Oh, yeah. Get to know Laura.
Get to know Angie. Okay. So
Interview with Laura Morris, get to know Laura.
There we go.
Okay. So, Laura.
Mm-hmm.
Could you please tell me about yourself and your business?
Okay. Me and my business. Okay. Well, my name is Laura Morris, as you guys know. I'm not a super interesting person. I don't like to talk about myself a lot. So, but what I will do is I will tell you briefly a little bit about me. I'm Canadian. I live about 2 hours east of Toronto. I live in a small community called Prince Edward County. I am a feng shui practitioner, obviously, and a feng shui teacher. And most of my time is spent teaching feng shui and running the Mindful Design School business. So that is my main business, although my personal brand business is Morris Feng Shui. And I do, consultations, but I would say 90% of what I do is mindful design. I have a son, and I have a husband, and I have 2 kitty cats, and I have a horse. And I love working on mindful design. We're coming up on our 5th anniversary next year, which is really exciting. So we're trying to think about things that we can do for next year. I don't know. I love teaching. I love the students. I really love making the courses, content, all that stuff. Yeah. That's not a very inspiring answer, Angie.
And you're Canadian.
I am Canadian. I said that at the beginning. I'm a proud Canadian. Yeah. For all the Canadian listeners out there.
Okay.
And because I write a lot of the content, like Angie and I come up with the content, but I physically put it into docs and stuff or in our courses. I intentionally add things like color with a U or favorite with a U just to bug Angie.
And then I always, sometimes I'll send her a screenshot on a text that I have a big red marker that crosses out the U.
That's right.
And then she'll always respond with, "It's a King's English."
And now it is the King's English as of 2 days or whatever. But yeah, yeah, that's me and my business in a nutshell.
Well, can you tell us what brought you to Feng Shui? What's your Feng Shui story?
My feng shui story. Well, I used to do a lot of interior design. Originally, I was actually in business. I was a director of marketing at a big business, a big company, big multinational company in the big city of Toronto, Ontario, when I lived in the city. And then I began to work in design, and I took, I studied, I went to school, I did all that. I shifted gears, I shifted careers, and I started doing design. But it for me, it never really it clicked, but it didn't click. I loved the creative part of it, but I wanted to do more. And I'd known about feng shui for years. I mean, it must have been 20 years. In the early 90s, I had books that I, played around with. I took a really small little course here and there. And I just felt like in my design business that something was missing. So I decided to really dive deep and to study feng shui properly. And I joined the program that Angie and I met in, the BTB Masters program, which is in New York City. It is no longer, it does not exist anymore. It has dissolved. And I went to every 3 months, I would travel to New York and study for 3 years.
So, what is the most unexpected thing you learned about Feng Shui or that you didn't think was related to Feng Shui?
Probably for me, it was the personal chi work. I think all the personal chi work that we do. I was because my background was in design, that was my kind of foray into it, was really looking at the space. I understood that it was more than just moving furniture. I wasn't, I knew that there was deeper significance in all of the design details and color and all of that stuff. But what I didn't know was that extended to reading people's chi, to be able to look at someone's energy, and being able to look at the space would actually tell you something about a person too, which I just found, for me, that was like the biggest aha. Being able to look at a floor plan or look at a space, understand what that means from a feng shui perspective, and then talk to the client about it, and then go, yeah, that's exactly right. And so that kind of stuff, being able to use the space and the tools that we have in feng shui to learn something about someone that they, either A, couldn't communicate, hadn't really surfaced. It's that stuff really just came out of nowhere. I had no idea that the power of that.
Yeah, and I know that part of your story is also that you took like a weekend Feng Shui program and got kind of, and then you tried to jump into Feng Shui, and you want
I
to
took
share
a
more?
5-day, yeah, I took a 5-day course in Toronto live, and it was actually 4 days. And then she took us on one consultation, and it was in a different perspective. It was classical.
Classical.
And at the end of it, I just felt like I had not enough information, or as I like to say, just enough to be dangerous. Like I had a lot of questions along, okay, I get that, but what happened? What do you do when that happens? Like how do you resolve that? How do you adjust that? And I didn't have the answers that I wanted. So I went looking for those answers.
So let's go into more Laura questions, getting to
Mm.
know Laura. So, Laura, what do you do for fun?
I like to travel. I like to hang out with my family. I have a horse, so I like to ride. I'm an equestrian, so I don't ride as much as I used to, but I do like to ride, and I paint. And I am an artist. I like to paint as well. Yeah. So painting, I was actually doing a lot of painting. I haven't painted as much as I'd like to. It's something that you can always come back to, but I have quite an extensive, you know, background in painting and art and stuff that I like to tap into once in a while.
Yeah, you have a whole different Instagram for that.
I do, and I haven't done anything with it in a while. I feel like since mindful design has really, it's kind of really grown for us, over the past 2 3 years, the past 2 years for sure. I've been pumping so much of my creativity in that I don't feel as much of a need to paint. So I haven't been doing as much painting, which is fine. I'm totally cool with that.
Mm. Um, and actually, I'm going to skip ahead to a question that seems to work with what you just
Mm,
said. What are some big transitions that have happened to you since you and I first
mhm.
met, or since we started working together and since we've created Mindful Design School in the last 5 years?
Yeah. I definitely feel like I've got a handle on, I'd already been an entrepreneur for working on my own for almost 5 years by then. But I found that this school and working with a business partner, which was new for me, has really given me boundaries in terms of how to create my business. And so it's been really good. Uh, I've enjoyed a lot this creating the structure, and that is because feng shui, it was a lot of me going out and doing consultations, which was great, but I liked the fact that I built this up. So that was a huge shift for me, was to have this business built up, and have so many other people join. It's been really awesome. And I think what's I've gained over the last 5 years would be perspective. I also just turned 50. So I think there's something, to that of getting older. But yeah, I feel like I don't stress out about things as much as I used to. I feel like things are, I've managed to put things in perspective a little bit more.
Yeah, and speaking to the boundaries, I was just talking to one of our students the other day, and she was talking about how the program has really taught her how to work with boundaries, not only in light of being a feng shui consultant, but in all aspects of her life. So I
Hmm.
think you and I really do our best to model that for ourselves, for each other, and
Hmm.
for our students. What would you say to your 20-year-old self?
Mm. 20-year-old self. Wow. Okay. So I would have still been in university, and I was going to do my master's. First of all, that would have been in the 90s. I would have told my not to pluck my eyebrows, number one. Um, because I regret that. I was okay, but I really wish I hadn't done that at all. Oh, I would have also kept a lot of my clothing. Now it's back. I just ended up buying shoes that are like, literally had half of this, or like a blazer I got. I had all these clothes. So I would have kept my clothes. Um, and oh man, that's a really tough question. I don't know. I think I would have told my 20-year-old self to not be afraid of creativity. I think I was always a very creative kid who was artsy, not very structured, not very, like, I was pretty artsy fartsy. And I always tried to get away from that and be more business and button down and all these things. But I think just to embrace my creativity and know that it's going to support me through the years.
And what are some things that you're doing right now that, as your 50-year-old self, that you're excited about?
Mm, well, well, planning, I mean, it's all comes back to work, which is pretty pathetic, but, no, I have other things in my life, but I am excited about some of the new stuff that we're working on. I am actually really excited about what we're pulling together for next year for the program, as it being our 5th year. And my husband and I've decided to, my son is going to be going off to university probably in the next year or so. And so, we're trying to figure out what we're going to do you know, for the next however many decades that we get. So trying to slow down a little bit and just my time just focusing on the school and planning for the future. It's not very interesting.
Well, I think it's very interesting because the way that I mean, I just finished writing the chapter in my book right now about the desk. And because
Hmm.
work is not just, we don't have a job where we go to work and sit somewhere and do something that we don't like to do. Actually, our work is intrinsically woven into
It
our
is. Yeah.
creativity and our path in life, and we love it. Like,
Hmm.
so we're very fortunate.
Yeah,
And
we
it's
are.
actually super amazing. We just don't want to make everyone jealous.
You know what though? But that's what I would tell my 20-year-old self is to not worry because it'll come, to listen to your gut, and to just, when you want to try something new, you don't have to quit everything and jump ship, but definitely start to play around with it, see how things feel, try something new and try something different. I mean, that's what I did.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, at least for me, when we work together, I'm always looking at how do we make this more of what we love, Laura? I mean, what can we do to shape this into what we want?
Yeah, we're at a point in our lives now where that is more important too. When you're in your 20s and your 30s, it's like you're hungry and you really are like driving. You've got that wood chi just going crazy. Now we're at a place, luckily, where we can say, does this work for me? Doesn't this work for me? What works for the students? What's the best course? And coming at it from, again, having that perspective and that grounding is really important.
Yeah, this would have been better if you hadn't plucked your eyebrows.
Exactly. That at the end of the day, that's the key takeaway.
Well, so if you haven't listened to all our episodes, you have to listen to our episode about face reading. Or we have a few episodes about
Hmm.
face reading to learn about what we're talking about there. Sorry, it's a teaser. You have to go back. Okay, because this is about Laura, not about face reading. Okay, so Laura,
Mm.
who is your favorite hero of fiction?
Ooh. Oh boy. I have to say Gandalf. I'm a total nerd. I like Gandalf. I wish I were Gandalf some days. I want to be a wizard and I want to hang out with hobbits. Yeah. Gandalf.
Will you hang out with me? I'm pretty short.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not from the Shire though. So
What is your personal motto?
my personal motto that I like to say to myself, I tell people this occasionally I say, do not borrow worry. Don't borrow worry. So, and I think my mom taught me that, or I think it was my mom. So basically, I'm the kind of person that if somebody tells me something, I overthink it. And so I'll think 8 steps ahead and into the future that has not happened. It's nobody knows if it's going to happen. And I worry about the things that might happen that are nowhere near happening. So that's it. So don't borrow worry. You don't need to worry about something that hasn't even happened. Just focus on what's in front of you. Relax. Just do that. And things and the worries that I think are going to happen in the future, like never pan out. So it's just, stop worrying.
Like a true Canadian.
Mm.
Borrow.
Borrow,
Burrow. How do you say it?
burrow, borrow, borrow.
Borrow.
To
I'm a
take. Why? How do you say it? Borrow.
borrow.
Oh my God.
Oh my God,
Borrow.
I'm so like
Borrow.
so my husband's been pulling me aside saying, you're picking up all these Canadianisms from Laura. And then I was saying, oh no, am I gonna start to say borrow like
Yeah.
buy
Borrow,
no,
roof,
no, it's borrow. Okay.
borrow, borrow. No A's.
Okay. Okay,
Anyway.
back to Laura. All
Okay.
right. Laura, which words which words or phrases
Oh,
do
you're gonna
you
yeah.
most overuse? Borrow.
Okay. No, I don't use that, but I tell you what okay, 2 things. Oh boy.
Oh, I got that from
Oh
you.
boy, you do that now too. And this is bananas.
I say that too. I'm actually, this is like a metal thing I've
Yeah.
noticed. I really am very sensitive to the way that other people speak, and I pick it up very fast.
They're also really good because, I try not to swear too much, which I do, by the way, I do swear a lot, but I try not to. I try to be, because again, just trying to chill out. So I've tried to use phrases that I still love that are, like that kind of sum up how I'm feeling. And I feel like, oh boy, is like my one. And then of course I do like, that's bananas. And bonkers.
Oh, I don't. So I've picked up the oh boy and I've picked up the bananas, and I see those both all the time. I think it's also kid safe, right? So you probably picked this
Yeah,
up when you.
probably. Yeah. And like for 17 years now. Yeah,
But
probably.
I
Yeah.
don't say the other one, which I've already forgotten. Bonkers. No, I don't say that.
Bonkers.
Okay, so what is your most treasured possession?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Hmm. Apart from, possession, so not person, so an actual item, a tangible item. Um, it might be my grandmother's earrings that she gave me. My grandmother gave me these earrings, and they're one of my most important things that she gave me. So yeah, probably that. I wear them when I want to feel, that I connect with her. Yeah.
Mm. And what would you like? Actually, I'm going to change your question.
Okay.
Well, I can ask both. What would you
Mm.
like for a superpower?
Okay. I always would think back to who are my favorite superheroes because I'm a nerd. If you hadn't guessed with the Gandalf answer,
Did you almost say Gondolf?
I did almost say Gandalf. That would be if I was like really borrow my Gandalf. Okay, who do I most like? I always go to super strength. I don't know why. It's totally not useful. I mean it is useful, but I feel like it's really shallow. But I would want to be like, I don't know, like, yeah, super strong or maybe telekinesis. I want to be able to move stuff and not have to like, go anywhere. But
Okay.
yeah.
And then my addition would be, what is your superpower?
Oh yeah. So my girlfriends and I, when we were in university, we all went through what our superpowers were. My girlfriend's was running in heels, which was awesome. Mine mine was, and I think if she's listening, she has to text me. Mine was communicating with animal communication.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. Like I fully feel like I'm like, yeah, animal communication, like since I was young. That's my
Ah,
superpower. Yeah.
okay. All right. And then last but not least, to close, what is your favorite simple feng shui tip?
Ooh, yeah. Okay, well, I really like, and I do this once in a while, but definitely in the new year, is I like to, it's not a traditional BTB, black sect adjustment. I have lots of favorites of those, but one that I can share with everyone would be feng shuiing my wallet. Just getting a new wallet. I don't get a new wallet every year, but every few years I do. Cleaning it out, getting rid of all the junk that accumulates in it, because that's a whole bunch of old money, stagnant money chi. Then putting in it my new red envelope with my $108 from the bank that I get, and I wrap it up in a red envelope and I put that in my wallet. And then I add whatever animal of that year is Angie's little silver. She gives me a silver little thing for whatever animal it is that's the friend of the year, and I hang that on my wallet. So that's my one thing. And stay tuned when we do our reset, which will be in November. We're going to open that up. That's a while away, I know that, but our new year reset that I'm sure a lot of you have participated in. But I do that in the new year or also around my birthday.
Okay.
It's like a
So
reset.
just to summarize,
Mm-hmm.
it's you get a new wallet usually, but you at the very least clean out your wallet. You go to the
Yes.
bank, you get
Yep.
$108
Yep.
new from the bank, you put it in a red envelope, you
Yep.
put it in your wallet, and then you also make sure you have in there the zodiac animal charm for the year, which we sell at the Holistic Spaces store.
That's right.
And this is enumerated somewhere in our blog
Oh,
or
you know
something.
what? And actually, if you go to our YouTube channel, I think there's a video too. There's a how-to
Okay.
video. Yeah.
So we'll make sure we have that in the show notes too,
Hmm.
so you can click through to that. So, thank you, Laura. Thank you for letting me interview you.
Well, thank you, Angie. It was a pleasure.
It was very fun.
You're up next. Get ready.
Okay. Well, thank you all so much for listening to this episode of the Holistic Spaces podcast. You can tune in every Monday for a new podcast episode. If you like our podcast and this episode, please share it with others. You can support the podcast by checking out our certification course and other mini courses that we have at mindfuldesignschool.com. It would be super cool to see you on our mailing list. You can join our mailing list and you get a weekly email with special offers that are only for our newsletter subscribers. You can click through on the show notes on the podcast app that you're listening to this with, or you can visit mindfuldesignschool.com, scroll to the bottom, and there's a place there to put your email to sign up. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next week.